back. I have upgraded my Mac, and we are back. We're back today, Friday, with a stream with CryptoSloth. CryptoSloth's back on the channel. If you didn't know, he knows a lot about crypto and a lot of things around the ecosystem. So very fun to have him back on the show for like the 10th time or so. We go way back. We actually literally started streaming around the same time. And yeah, there's some pretty fun early clips of us talking to from time to time. But hope everyone's doing good out there. We got a couple interesting things to cover today. I was watching Sloth's video on making passive income, which is just a piece for some of the PH ecosystem and some of the yield opportunities and yield arbitrage, which got me very interested in. I watched a 15-minute video. I was like, I want him to come on here and explain it to me and let me ask questions, and then you all can learn as well. And of course, you can check his video on it where he talks about it for a few minutes there too. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun to have a conversation around that. And also, I've been thinking a little bit about how to explain some of the value mechanics and how, I'm not even sure what the right word is for it. You could say game theory, you could say value mechanics, you could say tokenomics. Explain some of the stuff around that so you can really differentiate between different stuff in the ecosystem, because there's a lot of coins that have similar value props, market fit, all that stuff, and a lot of coins that maybe have unique things or have ways for getting yield or otherwise, different incentives or disincentives as well. So I want to get into that. So yeah, great conversation. We'll go for maybe an hour or so. It won't be a very long one today. And then everybody can get into the weekend and have some fun and all that good stuff. So say hi to the chat super quick. What's happening, guys? Welcome, DJ Bomber, Coin Critic. What's up? Welcome. Arbitrage Market, Buzzing, PulseChain, Grumps. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about, so just some of the products for arbitrage stuff too. What's up, Brian? Welcome. Armando, thank you. Shout out to Markable forever. Shout out to Markable for making my intro and my media package and stuff. He really introduced a window of good colors and good music and good everything else to hear. Red Squirrel, what's happening? Good to see you, man. All right, without further ado, Ramon's here. What's happening? Let's go. Bring in CryptoSloth. How's it going, man?
What's up, Max? Glad to be back, buddy. And I'll say this. We didn't start streaming at the same time. I started streaming and convinced your ass to get on camera. Let's not forget. Is that
what happened? Remind me because I don't remember that.
You're all, I want to be Mr. Blog guy over here. I just want to write. I don't want to be in front of the camera.
I was like, people would actually read this, won't they? They'll read my blog.
I invited you to my little Telegram group, and you're like, what's this Sloth guy? Is he a scammer? What's going on here?
I was very suspicious. I was like, because even now, like I try not to do Telegram. I literally make it inconvenient to do Telegram. I don't put it on my phone. I don't do any of that stuff. And I literally got in my way to stay away from it. And then even back then, I was very skeptical. And so I was like, hey, join my Telegram think tank group? I'm like, I think I even asked you, I was like, I should dig up some early messages. Like, hey, what is it about? I was like, I don't know if I want to join or not. Like, what is this thing? And then, yeah, it was just this, casual group talking about random stuff, which is pretty much the same thing it is today. It's just grown quite a bit. And our friend Tommy, it hangs out there too, which is always fun.
Every once in a while, I'll get a little message from him. But yeah, man, we did start around the same time back in the day. It was fun times. I have to pull up our old stream, the very first stream we did together. Let me see if I can pull it up. We looked so young, man. We looked so young.
That was when I actually clipped part of that and put it in the Maximus DAO mashup. If that's the one you're talking about, where you were talking about how to do Maximus stuff for charity. I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah. That was one of the first ones you came on. It was just like ideas. Yep. You still have the Red Bull background. Yeah, and Dipcatcher came in too.
Yeah. So actually, this fun historical fact for the RHMax show. This background used to point the other way. When I originally got it off of the internet, wherever I got it from, it used to point up and to the left, and then someone was like, "You should switch it around and point up and to the right." I'm like, "You're a genius." I never even thought about that. Whoa. You're a genius. Yeah. That's such a good idea. So I did it. And I still have the other one too. I should do it every once in a while just to mess with people. But yeah, good times. Yeah, Sloth's been around for a while. I remember when they were calling him the young up and coming big brain in the ecosystem. Now he's just this old guy who he still makes some good stuff. Every once in a while he puts out some content. But
nah, I'm old news now,
You're like writing books, and you're like that guy you've already did all the stuff. You basically retired at this point, man.
We got lady streamers now. You don't need me around on your stream anymore.
you do have a hat with a sloth on it. I mean, that is kind of cool.
You got to upgrade.
You do share that. Is it? I can't tell from the camera. It looks
Man,
fine.
you can't tell from there, but yeah, it's getting dirty. I wear it all the time. I wear it all day, man. You know,
Yeah.
funny story before we get into stuff. I was out with some friends and I went to the bathroom, and this is of course all funny stories and bars happen in the bathroom, right? And this guy looks at me and he's like, "Oh, what's that sloth?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just a sloth. I like sloth." And he looked at me, he's like, "Is it a CryptoSloth?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Do you watch me?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Holy shit!" And this guy had no idea who it was. He just out of nowhere is like, "Is it a CryptoSloth?" I was like, "What the fuck?"
You thought you had a fan?
I thought I had a fan. Little did I know, somebody
almost
for some reason thought it was a CryptoSloth.
That is funny though. They would be like CryptoSloth, yeah. But yeah, what if it was like, oh yeah, I've been watching you since day one, man. But no, they were just like, yeah, I just thought CryptoSloth. It looked like a crypto looking sloth. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
It was a good time.
Toby One says 3 of my favorites. I think there's only 2 of us here, but if you're including yourself, Toby One, there you go. I like that. We'll take it.
My favorites. I'm on the screen now, buddy.
We'll take it. Maybe Blink 182. Maybe that's one of his favorites. That's also one of my favorites. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, man, that's funny. Like Sloth, you literally after meeting you and all their interactions and stuff, and when I see sloths on the street, somebody will slap a sticker on a stop sign that's got a sloth on it. I'll take a picture of it. Like I see sloths everywhere now. It's crazy. You've been arbitraging the yield.
Yeah, man. I can't wait till I actually hold a sloth and get a picture of it. That tweet's going to do really great. People are going to love it.
Oh man, 10 million impressions in 6 hours. I'm going with that one.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
I'll take it.
Man, I watched your video on passive income. Very indescriptive. I think you just clickbaited everyone into clicking on it because to make them more money or something. But
that's what I'm working on. I'm working on my clickbait, baby. Hey, wait, hold on. Get out of here, Max. That was not clickbait. Okay, that was how to earn passive income. Don't get step out, buddy. Okay.
I clicked on it. I was like, I have no idea what he's going to talk about, but I want to hear it. And then it was like, oh, he's talking about the pH stuff. Okay, why didn't you put that in title, bro? And I get it. You want people to click on it to see passive income and then introduce them to the ecosystem. All these streamers have these little tricks that are actually, some of them are harmless, some of them are less harmless, and all that stuff too.
Hey, I didn't lie. Okay, I'm not lying. Okay, I'm just being general with the truth.
You tell yourself whatever you want to tell yourself, man. That's fine with me. Toby One, voice to text error. Nice. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Okay, you were seeing another person. I'm like, where? I don't see anyone else here. Okay, good. Godfather J6, welcome back, man. Usually the first one in the chat. I'll forgive you today. You were slowed down by the sloth. I get it, man. Don't worry about it. Yield arbitrage, though. Yeah, we got 45 minutes left. Let's talk about something that people actually care about. You want to kind of introduce the I kind of want to go. Yeah, can you just start with that? The pH products. Can you just introduce the pH products? Because now there's 4 of them, and they're all out as far as I know, and they're all you can actually play with them and use them and stuff like that. And then how that fits into yield arbitrage. I think that'd be an interesting way to go.
Yeah, no problem. So there are really 3 protocols that the PH team launched. The 4th one is like a wallet tracker / market watcher thing. So Fatty. So I won't talk about that one that much. But three protocols. So Fiat, Phamous, and PHUX. We'll start with Fiat. Fiat is an Aave fork. So it's a way to basically do peer-to-peer loans. You can deposit the collateral and then borrow other people's assets who also deposited those assets in the protocol. And you pay an APY to borrow the assets, and then you get paid an APY to deposit your assets for other people to lend them out. Pretty straightforward. PHUX, that's a balancer of they say it's a balancer. It's a fork of Balancer V2, which is a different type of decentralized exchange where you're able to put multiple assets in a single liquidity pool at different ratios rather than just 50-50. So if you go down, for example, the bridge stable pool, that's USDT, USDC, and DAI all in one. The RHMax pool, it's all 5 of RH assets in there, and they all exist in those proportions that are laid out in the percentages next to the tickers. And so this has some cool implications on impermanent loss, order execution, the ability to bootstrap liquidity. It just offers more variability, options, and functionality to building liquidity and for order execution that a typical V2 or V3 Uniswap DEX doesn't offer by just doing a 50-50 pool. And then Phamous is a fork of GMX, which is on Arbitrage, and that's a peer-to-peer leverage trading platform. So the instead of a centralized entity providing liquidity for people to use as leverage, the community. Oh, we're watching a movie. Nice. You're muted, bud.
I was like, I think it's .io, but I'm not sure, so I'll just Google real quick. But yeah, it hasn't been out long enough.
But so Phamous GMX fork, decentralized leverage trading. So instead of a centralized entity providing the coins that you would use in your leverage trade, the community provides the coins in a liquidity pool called PHLP, and then those are the coins that are sourced to traders whenever they want to take out leverage. So those are the three protocols, and that's pretty much what they do. Balancer fork, Aave fork, GMX fork. So we have decentralized leverage trading, we have multi-asset and multi-weighted liquidity pools, and we have peer-to-peer collateralized loans through the PH ecosystem, which are three incredible products that individually could take a whole team to make. And now we have, one banner for all three of these protocols, which I think is pretty cool.
And the fourth one to tie them all together. Well, or not. It's kind of
baggy,
unrelated, but also pretty cool.
Yeah. This one's just like a useful website. So it tracks the market, and then also it allows you to track portfolios too. So yeah, that's the whale watching tab where you can look at different wallets that are well known in the ecosystem. You can plug in any wallet and it'll get all the assets across multiple chains, put them in a nice little format for you, so it's easy to see where all their money is. Cool thing, you can put when you put the address in there, it also tells you if they have a Phamous position open. So if they're long or short any specific assets, it'll tell you if they have any loans on Fiat. It's a great portfolio tracker. It's my preferred one right now. So I have all my wallets in the portfolio tab, and it's a private one so people can't see it. So yeah, that's what Fatty is. And it's also a place to go get all of the links that you want. It's the official, it has all the official links for all of their protocols. So if you just want like a homepage for all the PH stuff, Fatty would be your thing. What's up, SJ?
Yeah, it's Jason in chat.
She appears.
She appears from time to time. I saw her on your show the other day.
Yep, that was a good one.
Yeah,
that was a great one.
I have to watch more about it. I didn't have a chance to watch it all, but yeah, I saw you guys. Sounds like you met at the PulseChain tour meetup, and then did a stream together. It makes sense. Yep. Awesome. So with these products too, yield arbitrage. How does that fit into this?
Yeah. So big zoomed out general view. Yield arbitrage is incredibly simple, right? You have an APY for a loan that you've taken out. It's a certain percentage. Well, if you're able to get yield at a higher percentage, the difference between those two APYs are a pure profit, right? So if you take out a loan that's 5% APY and you can take it over to a DEX and LP with those tokens and get 30% APY, well, that's a 20% APY difference that is pure profit. And that's really powerful because you're able to take your coins that say you wouldn't have been using. Like say you have a pulse bag that's your hodl bag. You want to hold this long term. But the thing about that is it's not productive. It's just coins that are sitting in your wallet exposed to market volatility. Well, if you were to find an opportunity where you can get a low interest rate and then use the loan that you got to get a higher yield, well, you've taken those non-productive assets and then you've turned them into productive assets by unlocking liquidity through collateralized loans.
Okay. And when I was watching your video too, I had to just thinking of questions too. It was like, okay, if it's such a no-brainer, for example, like it's so simple and there's ways to profit and stuff, what are the risks versus all the other options you have, like staking or LP or otherwise?
Well, first, Max, before we go any further, I have to ask you, is this going to be like our LP video where I go on for like an hour and 15 minutes and you're like, yeah, that stuff isn't interesting to me. I'm just using him for content. Is that
3 months later? 3 months later, it's going to be like
3 months later. Well, this LP stuff is actually kind of interesting. What's going on here?
Sloth, can you come back on? I need to hear more about this. Yeah, we never know. The answer is we never know. However, I am paying attention. I'll say that. Yeah. So maybe not an hour. Maybe if you could just do this for about 25.5 minutes, that'd be good. Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you, buddy. I'm not gonna let you live that one down. I thought that was hilarious.
That did happen. Yeah, I was like, yeah, LP sounds okay, and then later I'm like, oh wait, hold on. Oh, I think I get it now. Okay, this is pretty cool. Okay, let me go back and watch some of these streams. Yeah.
Go watch
some of the streams I did with Sloth and otherwise.
I have a whole stream on my own channel. Oh my god.
I like refined hayseed also. I like sleeping on the LP. I was with you, sir, for a while. I was one of those. Yes.
So your question was risks, right? Like, oh, this sounds amazing, free money, infinite money printer, yada yada. What are the risks, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. So the most obvious one is you're using leverage, right? And so to take on leverage, like you are inherently taking on the risk of liquidation. So let's say you take your stables and you borrow Pulse with it to go do some LP farm, and the price of Pulse goes down so far that you can't repay your loan. Where those stable coins are going to get liquidated, so you're going to lose your money by trying to chase this yield. And then when you're trying to capitalize on the delta, which is just the difference between the interest rate and the APR that you're doing, well, like you also have the risk that delta, that gap closes. So if you have a loan position or a leverage position, which is what it is, and you're earning APY, and that APY goes down so much where you're no longer in profit, well, now you're losing money. So you have the risk of liquidation, and then you have the risk of risk of variability of APY. And so if you get liquidated, you lose your money. And if the APYs go down too far, you can start losing money as long as that position is open. So there is an element of attention that that you need to have if you're going to use one of these strategies.
Is there an ideal time to deploy certain strategies when prices are a certain way, or the market's going a certain way, and like a bad time to do it? Like, is there favorable conditions?
Yeah. So I mean that all depends, right? So let me think of what would be a good example. So yeah, let's take the example of longing and shorting, because in a lot of ways, a lot of these positions are like longs and shorts. Well, you want to long more towards the bottom of the market because the price is going to go up. The price is going up if it's the bottom. And so you have exposure to that upside volatility, and that upside volatility isn't working against you in terms of liquidation risk. So the prices is going up, you're long, so you're earning money, you're not getting liquidated. And so you would want to take positions out in coins like PRC20s that have market volatility more towards the bottom, because they'll appreciate in price, and then it'll make it easier for you to repay off that loan, especially if you're borrowing stables. But the opposite is true. If you're borrowing towards the top and your position is inherently a long position, the price is going down, well, the probability of you getting liquidated goes up as well. It would have been better to sell. And then the opposite of that is also true, where towards the top of the market, it's better to take out leverage that is inherently a short position, because the price will go down, which makes it easier to pay off your loan. To put that in like more concrete terms, at the bottom of the market, you would want to say borrow stables and then like buy Pulse, or borrow Pulse directly. Well, let me think. You want to borrow in stables and then get Pulse. And then at the top, you would want to borrow in Pulse and then sell that for stables. And then you take what you sold into, and you can use that for a yield opportunity. So like if you took your Pulse, collateralized it, got PulseX for it, and then you sold that PulseX, and then the price of PulseX and Pulse go down go down proportionally to each other. You have to pay off your loan in PulseX, but because Pulse is also going down, your health factor is remaining about the same, but you now have stable. So you can buy up the coins that you need to repay off your loan at any point. And for a yield arbitrage opportunity, that would actually go into like a stable coin yield pool, where you can earn on your short position in the meantime while waiting to pay off the loan. That's kind of how that would work.
I wonder too, with Hex and Pulse being more tied together, are there certain... Yeah, because you talk about some coins going up together, and some not too. Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any strategies around if someone is going to do leverage on Pulse or Hex or otherwise. Are there advantages in doing them to coins that are tied more together versus stables, which are prices could go way up or way down?
Say that one more time.
So is there advantages to borrowing, doing leverage on coins that are further tied together, like for example Hex and Pulse, versus doing it with going and buying stables or otherwise? Gotcha. I'm just like, yeah.
So, excuse me. Talking specifically about Fiat, there is an advantage of borrowing tokens that are correlated to each other, because they're more likely than not going to move in price together. So like, let's say Pulse and Hex, for example, while there may be some fluctuations in between the two of them, generally they're going to go up and down together. And so if you deposit Pulse and then take out Hex, the only risk you have is the volatility between assets, not the volatility in USD price. So if all the assets are going up, say 10x, but the difference between Pulse and Hex only is a plus or minus 10 to 50%. Well, your volatility risk there is within that percentage, not within the X's. Versus if you deposited stables and borrowed Hex from that, well, then all of a sudden, Hex is going up, but your collateral is staying the same. And so the chances of you getting liquidated is higher because your loan to value ratio or your debt to collateralization ratio is becoming unhealthy. So yeah, and that's actually, you bring up a good point, because let's say you wanted to get into, and this is the example I use in my video, the single-sided PulseX staking pool on PHUX. Well, a good coin to use would probably be Pulse or Hex, because they're very, very closely tied together in liquidity, and probably even better to using Pulse because they have a farm on PulseX. And so the volatility between the two is going to be relatively concentrated. But at the same time, you're earning in the token that you need to pay your loan off, because most of the single-sided staking pool on PHUX is PLSX.
Gotcha. Yeah, I knew there was something there. I wasn't quite sure how to ask. I'm like, I know there's something to this where there's got to be opportunities where it's coins that are tied together better with different leverage positions or leverage opportunities or yield opportunities. Got to be something there. I hadn't quite thought about the sort of strategies though yet, but I figure you have.
The more correlated the assets, the less volatility between them, which is lower risk. The less correlated the assets, the more volatility between the assets, the greater the risk in terms of liquidations. That's kind of the headline there.
I'll get to this one since we're looking at Fame right now too. So PHLP in details. Everyone's asking. Heard Buck say, Cabana, that you were earned just by holding. I assumed you had to put it in 4G, which is one of the polls on PHUX. Yeah, you want to talk to that one?
Toby, that's a great question. So in my explanation of, and don't worry, Toby, I'm gonna bring this down for you. I'm gonna talk to you like you're 2 years old.
He said 3, but two's probably within range.
I'm just going on the safe side,
Toddler. Yes.
So Phamous is a decentralized leverage trading platform where the coins that are used to give leverage to traders comes from the community, not a centralized exchange. And the PHLP token is the LP pool where these tokens are put into. And the PHLP token specifically is your share of that pool. So if I put in, actually go to the earn dashboard on Fame, this will be good, and then scroll all the way down. So you see the PHLP composition. These are all the tokens you can use as leverage on Fame.io. And so when you deposit any of these tokens into the liquidity pool, you get PHLP in return. So you're putting in coins. The coins that you put in, other traders are taking out as leverage. And every time somebody executes a trade, opens or closes one, they pay a fee. Those fees go directly into the PHLP pool. So you're owning PHLP, you have the token, and the number of tokens is going up, but no PHLP is being created. So when fees are put into the pool, there are more coins in the pool, but less receipts. So if there's more coins in the pool, in the same number of receipts, the number of coins you're entitled to has gone up. Also, 100% of the liquidations go straight into the PHLP pool. So fees go in, liquidations go in, the PHLP token supply stays the same, the number backing it goes up, therefore you're earning yield from the fees and the liquidations produced by the platform. Now, you say that you assume that you have to put it in 4G. 4G is a liquidity pool on PHUX. And so what you're doing there is you're taking your PHLP and depositing it in a liquidity pool, and it's 50% of the liquidity pool. So 50% of that position is PHLP, and then the other 50% is the other PH assets. So for half of the position that you have in the background that is PHLP, that's actually accruing value in absolute token terms, while also earning you an APR, because you're supplying liquidity for a DEX. So 4G yield comes from the incentivization through the PHUX token. The PHLP yield comes from fees and liquidations, which is increasing the backing value of each individual token over time. So you get yield on top of yield when you stake your PHLP, well, not stake your PHLP, when you take your PHLP and put it into the 4G pool. But the PHLP token, you don't have to stake. It's just accruing value over time based on the nature of the liquidity pool that it's backed by. Does that make sense, Toby?
Yeah, I was going to say, Toby, can you tell us through the internet? Yell if it makes sense in the chat. I think he's driving though. He had another question too I'll get to while we're here. Hypothetically, if someone had a huge Icosa stake ending, didn't want to break it up to multiple wallets, so would have a 360-day stake, what would you do with that now that it's now with what's coming? Oh yeah, I guess Hedron V2.
Yeah, so with the upgrade, you'll be able to do multiple stakes in a single wallet. So if you just hold it liquid and wait and then upgrade the tokens over on the new contracts, you're going to be able to do break up all the stakes as much as you want without having to make a whole bunch of wallets and stuff. So I just hold tight on that. I keep it staked. Just keep it staked because you can end it whenever you want, and stakes can automatically be upgraded when you migrate over. So just keep it staked. The APYs are pretty low because not much Hedron is being burned, especially we're like in a little bit of a holding period in that ecosystem waiting for the new contracts. So just wait, let the stake run out in terms of time, and then upgrade it, unstake it, and then split it up how you want within a single wallet.
Cool. You still do Hedron stuff? You still interested? I thought you were like a PH guy now.
Yeah. Well, hey, dude, look at that, man.
You still got some Hedron stuff? Is that a logo? I see. Yeah.
I talk about stuff that interests me, Max. And Hedron was the thing that interested me for a long time. But I feel like I did my job with that. I think I did a good job of getting the education out there, getting people to understand what's going on. And it's a immutable smart contract. So once everybody knows what's going on, there's really not much to talk about. And I'm not super big on tracking yields on a day-to-day basis. That doesn't interest me at all in terms of producing content. And so I just bounce around to whatever I'm interested in at the time. And at this point in time, it's the PHUX ecosystem. We got liquid loans coming out soon. I think my channel is going to start morphing into a DeFi on PulseChain type of channel.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can see as soon as Hedron V2 comes out, you're going to be like, I don't even remember what that PH stuff was. I'm a Hedron guy again. I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Hey, you know what? I'm excited for it, man. It's going to be a good time, and I'm going to have more Hedron stuff to talk about, which is awesome. And Alex is at least teased other things too. So there'll be plenty of Icosa Hedron content coming down the line. Just not right now. There's nothing to talk about.
You sound like a very healthy shiny object chaser. Much more healthy than usual.
What can I say?
What's your favorite meme coin while we're on the topic?
HOA.
Okay. There you go.
10 gang, baby.
All right. I don't know what anyone's talking about with any of that stuff, and I'm glad I don't. However,
Alex, should join. Max, you should join the 10 gang, buddy. I think they welcome you with open arms.
Oh, they're in the chat. I'm sure they're in the chat right now. They go in the chat. They show up. They holler 10 gang, and I'm like, cool. Yeah, I love everyone, but I'm more of a Hedron guy. Sloth kind of he's backsliding right now, and I'm like, I got his back. I'm backing him up. You guys know what I'm talking about. That being said, I do want to get into that was awesome. By the way, I think great answered question perfectly for Toby, and I really because when I watched the video, I was like, okay, I think I get it. But also, I kind of want to see how these platforms fit together. I guess maybe that's one more question before we wrap up on that is like Fiat. So how does Fiat, does it play a part in yield arbitrage, or is it mostly some opportunities on Phamous right now?
Actually, Phamous really has nothing to do with yield arbitrage, to be honest. Outside of, I guess, the PHLP token you could, but leverage trading with your loans, that's pretty high risk. That's pretty crazy. But if you're a good trader, hey, it's good for you. But Fiat is actually more tied to yield arbitrage because that's the place where you're getting your loans from. So if you go to Fiat right now, you'll see that in the borrow APY right there, well, you don't have to go there, just on the markets. It's right there. Gotcha. Those are all the APYs to borrow those assets. So you're paying 16% if you're borrowing USDC, 12 USDC, 10% in DAI. And that makes sense. Stable coins are pretty popular right now. And if you go to PHUX and you take a look at the stablecoin pools, those APYs are right around that level, which makes sense. So 13%, and then the CST pool is 20%. So you could even have some yield arbitrage in stable coins right now if you really wanted to, which is pretty cool. That's actually pretty dope. And if you go back the other tokens, those are the APYs you see on Fiat. Those are the things that you need to outperform with your yielding opportunities. So if say you're borrowing Hex, well, you need to get greater than 10% on your Hex in order to outperform the APY you're paying for the loan that you're taking out.
Yeah, that's right. I remember Dylan talking about this a while back, where even a few months ago, but even before PulseChain launched, when Fiat came out, strategies around getting a higher APY on Hex by borrowing it than even staking, depending on your amounts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's totally possible. And with like this right here, you're like 9%. If you're doing, say you want to be on like a 10-year time horizon, you borrow Hex, stake it for 10 years, and then in 10 years you pay your loan off, because presumably the inflation you earn from the staking is higher than the 10% it costs to that you're accruing on that loan. So that's a pretty long timeline to take out leverage for. That's pretty crazy, but it's possible. I wouldn't do that, but like based on the APYs, like you still probably get 30% on Hex if you do 10 years. So yeah, you could make a 20% spread on your tokens by doing that. The only thing is like you don't have access to your collateral when you do it. So you're also technically locking up your collateral for 10 years, because you have to pay it off to get your collateral back.
Yeah, I was just wondering, so on the Hex piece, so there's that, but also other than protocol risk, is it literally, just on yield arbitrage, is it literally the only other factor is, do you trust the thing's going to be around? Do you trust it? Is it going to rug pull? Is it going to go zero? All that stuff. Are you literally just looking for what is the highest, percentage? What is the highest yield I can make on these different plays, assuming that I trust all the protocols and my time horizon and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's like the bare basics of it. There's a little bit more nitty gritty. Like there are three things you have to take into account: the collateral you put up, the loan that you're taking out, the coin that you're taking out for debt, and then the yielding opportunity. Like you have to have, and if you change any one of those things, it completely changes the risk to reward profile of that yield arbitrage opportunity, right? So even if the pool that I'm providing liquidity in to get an APR is the same, well, if I change what I borrow, say I deposit Pulse and I'm going into, say, I don't know, the RHMax ecosystem, the pool, right? Well, if I change when I take my loan out from Hex to PLSX, that completely changes the risk calculus, the risk reward calculus. If I change it from Hex to PulseX, that completely changes everything too, right? Like any individual tweak in those three things, you have to reassess where exactly your risk is and what exactly would have to happen in order for you to get liquidated and lose your money.
It's a great segue into the value props too that I want to talk about, but real quick, one day I'll wait. We got plenty of time, but I'll wait one day. If they ever want to put my picture up here for the RHMax one, that'd be fine too. I'd be okay with that either way. Richard or me, that's cool.
It's the same person basically.
I mean, dad, son, whatever. It's cool. So value mechanics, tokenomics, all that stuff. Yeah, I see at least one or two questions in the chat. I'll try to get to them towards the end. We're going to go for another 25 minutes or so. But I want to have this conversation too, because I read some stuff and Sloth didn't look at it all until the last few minutes. So I think he's able to put something together that makes sense on this. So there's a whole range of things people consider when they look at different products. What I was thinking over a couple of days ago, I was like, I want to be able to put together the different pieces that you take in consideration. It's sort of patterns, ways to look at other products to see what is similar, what kind of game the founders are playing, what kind of like, how can you participate? Do you need to have a lot of coins? Are you just looking for yield? Like the different, choices, incentives, time horizons, stuff like that. And I wanted to frame it in a way that would be useful for people to use and be like, okay, I see this product. It looks similar to this other product. Because I've seen, you don't even need to see 100 different products in order to recognize these patterns. So I wanted to fit it into that and talk about the different, how would you even say it? Would you call it value mechanics? I was struggling with even how to frame this. Is it just the different pieces that make a token or a platform or protocol what it is and its market fit for its users? Like, how do you even think about these types of like high level ideas around tokens?
Rephrase the question one more time. Let me just to see if I understand.
Yeah. So when you're looking at ecosystem, you see there's a ton of opportunities with getting yield or whether staking or LP or otherwise. And you see the tokenomics and you see the, inflation, deflation, all this different type of stuff, the different patterns of things being similar, not similar, the kind of like end game you can see from what the founders have kind of put their imprint on the tokenomics itself to how it benefits people long-term holding versus trading and all this stuff. How do you even frame the conversation around being able to look at something and naturally say, oh, I've seen this before, or oh, I know what this game is, and decide whether you want to play it or not?
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's like different types of coins have different heuristics or framing tools in order to understand them, right? Like meme coins is very, very simple. Very, very simple. Are the memes good? That's all I care about. Like if it's getting to a meme coin, is the community producing memes that make me laugh? Yes, cool, I'm in. That's literally it, right? But for stuff like the PH ecosystem or like the Hex, Hedron, Icosa, well, that's like, okay, how do these mechanisms that are outlined in the smart contracts, what are they incentive? What do they incentivize? How do they incentivize them? And then do those incentives generally lead to like price appreciation if those incentives are aligned correctly? And then for stuff like the PH ecosystem, a little bit more specifically, it's like, can I use these mechanics to make some extra money or compound my coins a little bit more based on different scenarios I might find myself in with my portfolio? So it's not just within a single point in time, but it's also across all potential periods of time and all potential scenarios I might find myself in the future, right? So like right now, the net value of my portfolio is probably not large enough where I want to start taking loans out to do these arbitrage opportunities, just because the juice isn't really worth the squeeze. And this is actually something I was talking to Dane and Corey about today, not on stream, but behind the scenes a little bit after their stream. But I found that, and it's a little bit of a tangent, but I found that you need to go into these kind of opportunities with some kind of size so that the output is like money that actually matters to you. Because if you don't, you tend to find yourself overexposed for a longer period of time. So it's like, if I'm only making $50 and it's like, well, screw $50, that's not money that matters to me at all. Well, I might hold that leverage position a little bit longer than I should because I'm trying to squeeze out the extra money so that it actually matters to me. So I might be right within that given period of time, but I've waited too long and now I get liquidated because the money that I made, even though I was right, wasn't significant. But if I had went in with size, say 10x the size, and it was $500 all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, no, wait, maybe that $500 was meaningful to me, and let me take out and lock in those profits. So it's like doing these positions with a considerable amount of size is important because there's a psychological game you also have to play to execute your plans correctly and over the right time frames. That's a little bit of a tangent, but that kind of ties into what I'm saying, where it's like, is there opportunity within these mechanics for me to find some kind of edge over the market or edge over the base inflation of a specific token, or produce an income on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis where I don't necessarily have to sell my base assets and I can just scrape off yield over time?
Yeah, I think you bring up edge. I want to talk about edge a little bit too, but just the different, I was trying to group these into categories like maybe utility, incentive to buy, disincentive to sell, incentive to lock up for one coin to get another, a lot of the DEX stuff and stuff like that too. Are there different pieces that feel more like, I guess less risky versus more risky? And there's a whole bunch of, that's why I'm trying to like break this down into, there's like 5 different ways we can go with this. Okay, like depending on, like you mentioned too, about how much you have to put in it, how much you're willing to risk, what your time horizon is. Are you able to get enough out of it in your time horizon that makes it worth it to even do it? But I guess over those few things, like maybe you could compare it to like Icosa, Hedron, that type of ecosystem with like the PH ecosystem. Maybe that would be like a useful comparison to be like, okay, what are you actually doing when you participate in this, and how does that what does the difference look like?
Yeah. So yeah, the two are obviously very different. The yield in Hedron and Icosa are inflationary in nature, where if you have hex stakes, you mint Hedron, you stake your Hedron Icosa, you're earning Icosa, which is inflationary based on the amount of Hedron being burned. And so that is actually lower on the risk curve than like some of the PH stuff, because the only thing you're exposed to at that point is market volatility and I guess locking your coins up too, right? And so like kind of the baseline risk we all take by being in crypto is market volatility, which is a considerable risk. But if it's the same risk across every single strategy or every single type of position, then like that that risk doesn't matter when you're comparing risk across assets, right? So it's like we're exposed to the price of Hedron and Icosa, which has been a bad thing lately because those coins have not done very well in all of this since PulseChain has launched. But the risk in terms of how to obtain the yield is very low because they're single-sided staking positions. So you're just staking the coins, you're literally putting up stake in the system saying, I'm not going to sell my coins. So the system rewards you with tokens because of that. And what the bet for Hedron and Icosa is also the same as Hex, which is T-share exposure. So these are just the value of Hedron and Icosa is derived from the T-share, which means that when you own these tokens, you have exposure to the T-share, except it's just more downstream exposure. Hex is having a T-share is the most direct exposure you can have to a T-share. Liquid Hex is the next because you can exchange Hex directly for T-shares. Then it's Hedron because you can theoretically exchange Hedron for T-shares itself on the liquidation market, and its distribution model is based on the T-share. And then Icosa is another level abstracted from there because it only comes into existence when T-shares are gone through the liquidation auction or Hedron is burned. So they both are tied to the T-share. It's just the level of difference. The distance that they have to that core value prop of the T-share is different. So Hedron is closer to that value. Icosa is further away from that value. So Hedron is a less risky bet than Icosa is from that perspective.
What is Hedron and Icosa? What are the incentives? Like what are I guess what are they trying to get you to do?
Mm-hmm. I guess hold the token, participate in the protocol. Help you get cheaper T-shares theoretically through the liquidation auctions. That's pretty much it. They're tickers and coins that a community can form around, and really what they do, in my opinion, is allow people to get more exposure to T-shares than they could get directly through Hex, because a 1.2 billion Hedron, which is about a squid position, it's about like $300, maybe $200. Versus a squid position in Hex, which is probably a couple $1,000s still at this point. And so it allows people to get that T-share exposure that they weren't able to get because they're not as early to Hex, or they don't want to lock up their coins for as long. It allows them to get that today, just in a more abstracted form.
And what does it incentivize to win in Hedron Icosa ecosystem? What are the plays that are most rewarding for him?
Mm-hmm. So right now, actually staking in this Alex Hedron Maxi pool is pretty rewarding because it's paying a 50% APR, which is higher than the native staking. So if you have some Hedron and you want to chuck it in here, you can de-risk your position a little bit because it sells some of it into Hex. But also you can earn more APR by holding those tokens than by staking it natively. And then the incentives for staking it natively is keeping 100% asset exposure while compounding your coins slowly over time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get in the mind of, especially when Alex is making this stuff. I mean, there's a ton of just really complex pieces that fit together to actually make it work. And, we got V2 coming at some point as well. And I'm just always wondering, like, this type of game, that when people choose to play it, the difference between that versus all the, you mentioned meme coins before, we're going to talk about, the PH ecosystem in a second, but it's just the ability to see the similarities and differences and be like, okay, this is going to be more profitable for me in my personal situation, the amount of coins I want to give up, the amount of risk I want to take on, the time horizon I want to sit through this, the cycles and all this stuff, versus not. So that's why I'm trying to get into the description of these so much. But yeah, you're killing it on that. And then PH.
Real quick, Iron Freedom, his question, he asked if I'm so bullish on Hedron and Icosa. I think that's a good point to bring up. I am still bullish on it long term. But we're going to have to see Hex and Pulse and all of that do well first. So my personal thesis and speculation is that Hex needs to do well, establish a higher price point, get into its own bull run. And then once that starts to happen and T-shares again become unobtainable to the average retail market participant, then that's when they're going to start looking to things like Hedron and Icosa to get that T-share exposure, because you just can't get that with Hex anymore. So Hedron will just like skyrocket once we start to get those that bull market money back in the system, because the fundamentals are so strong. But right now, like if its value is derived from the T-share and Hex is just in the shitter, like it's only natural that these are going to outperform to the downside because they're more abstracted away from the thing that's lost value. So
is that the way to understand it? To understand it as when Hex does well, these should do well because they're so tied to Hex, and the disconnect maybe is like they're a different coin, different ticker, different, some different game theory around them. But is it just because maybe Hedron it's a new coin, or it was a new coin, and kind of reset in a lot of ways, new players, new wells, and stuff like that. So people think, oh, maybe it can go higher in certain ways, or get more multiples in different cycle conditions. Is that the disconnect between treating them differently, just because they are a different token technically?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I said before, you can get a squid position in Hedron for a couple $100, and in Hex you need a couple $1,000. So like it just attracts a different level of user, and you can still get yield in it, just like you can still get trustless yield with Hedron and Icosa like you can with Hex. But they're different tickers, and even though their value is derived from the same thing, their value proposition is different.
So the answer is like, oh, why is Hedron and Icosa down so much? Is Hex up right now?
Yeah, because Hex is down. And like when Hedron did all of its runs back when it was like 7-8 cents, more or less, a lot of that was just due to like probably boredom in the market, excitement over this new thing that we're getting. That's pretty cool, in my opinion. But it wasn't because Hex was going up. It wasn't because Hex was going up. It was more based on speculation around the asset, and it did great. It did a 30x run from its first bottom to its second local top. Didn't make an all-time high, but it's we haven't seen Hedron and Icosa exist in a Hex bull market yet. So we still have a lot to see for how this asset can perform over time.
Sure. Yeah, you want to talk about the PHUX and the different incentives and the different things that affect those?
Yeah. So actually the incentives for the PH coins, PHUX, Fame, and Fiat, they're much more easy. They're much more tangible than like Hex, Hedron, and Icosa because they're tied to revenue. They're tied to an income stream. So all three of these tokens you can stake and then earn a percentage of the fees generated by the platform. So for PHUX, like you have up, you provide it in the prime PHUX liquidity pool, which is 80% PHUX, 20% Pulse, and then you stake that for VE PHUX. And then when you do that, I believe with 50% of the platform fees goes to that staking pool. So these assets are tied to real world incomes, real revenue streams. In Fiat, it gets, I believe, 50% of the fees on the platform, and then Fame gets 40% of the fees of the platform. So by holding these tokens, not only are they non-inflationary, they have a fixed supply, so there's a digital scarcity kind of thing, but think of them like dividend-paying stocks, essentially, where by owning them, go ahead.
No, just on that. So you mentioned they're backed by things. Is that different than, like, for example, Hedron Icosa, where tokens came into existence? Yeah, they're backed by, I guess, T-shares, but can you sort of break that down to the difference between the ones that when you talk about it like that?
Yeah, so the PH tokens are backed by real revenue generated by activity on the platform. So the fees are coming from people utilizing something and paying to utilize it, and then you are getting a percentage of those fees. So like the dividend-paying stock is the most obvious metaphor or analogy you can make to traditional finance assets. And that's very different than Hex and Hedron and Icosa yield, because those are coming from inflation. So the inflation of those tokens technically is diluting their price because there are more coins with the same amount of liquidity backing it. So like the amount of money backing each token goes down as the inflation goes up. So the bet for that, and what it's being backed by, is betting that more people over time are going to come in and support the ecosystem or want to get a percentage of that inflation over time. That's essentially how that's how the price of any asset goes up. People coming in and buying it, and that people not selling it. But the revenue, the yield where it's coming from is very different. One is inflation. One is hard revenue generated by a platform. And for most people are able to wrap their head around the value of something like the PH tokens because it's producing a revenue that's more similar, more tangible to people coming from the TradFi world versus Hex, where it's like you have to be convinced essentially of a digital scarcity narrative of the T-share because they're deflationary. And so if you want to get a piece of that inflation going forward into the future, you need to speculate on it now. Because the ability to get that inflation gets harder and harder over time, which is also true for Hedron and Icosa. So the bet on that is like, I'm going to get a percentage of the inflation, and I am speculating that people in the future will also want to get that inflation in the futures, but it's going to be harder for them to do so. So they're going to theoretically pay more for it. That's kind of the bet there. It is, and it's like with all of crypto, it's a greater fool theory. You know, where I'm betting that somebody in the future is going to pay more for this than I'm paying for it now.
Well, something Dylan said the other day on your all stream too that struck me. It was kind of like the fees when you have a platform where the money is kind of like going around, and the winners get part of it, the losers lose part of it, and it's kind of this like that's kind of like what it's backed by, right? Like the people putting money into the platform versus the inflation, the digital scarcity, that their narrative of earning more over time. You still got to believe everything's going to work and not have bugs and rug pull and all this stuff. But it's just a different way of doing it, like you said, in inflation and other tokenomics like that. Versus there's there's an ecosystem that people have money trading back and forth on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I hope everyone listening to. I hope this is helpful to sort of wrap your head around how these things actually work and why it would be useful to participate or not. And because that's the thing, there's so many products, and we've just got started. PulseChain's 4 months old. Zoom out a year or two from now, it's gonna be like, all this stuff happened. We don't remember what happened. Don't even know what's going on. New people come in and see all this stuff too. But there will be more products. There will be more stuff. There's Liquid Loans hasn't launched yet. There's Power City. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Tetra, stuff that hasn't even launched yet, that hasn't even came out for us to even see how it works on these type of platforms. But the whole maybe you can compare that to real quick before we wrap up, like Liquid Loans versus PH ecosystem. How's the narrative like that?
Yeah, so the Liquid Loans narrative is completely different than the PH protocols. The one that's most closely related to is Fiat, but instead of peer-to-peer collateralized loans, it's a stablecoin factory. So you collateralize your Pulse, which you can also do on Fiat, but instead of taking out any coin that you want that is offered by the protocol, you can mint USDL, which is a coin that is always redeemable for $1 worth of Pulse, which would make it theoretically $1 because if it's more or less, then an arbitrage opportunity exists to set it back at $1. So you can only borrow one thing. You can only take out loans in one thing. The loan terms are different. So it's no payment periods and 0% APY. So actually doing loans in USDL from one perspective is more profitable than doing loans on Fiat because the APY that you're paying on the loan is 0. So any kind of yielding opportunity is in profit automatically because anything that's bigger than 0 is making you a profit. There are still risks associated with it, and the main risk is the volatility of Pulse. Volatility of Pulse and volatility of the coins that you're buying with the USDL to provide liquidity with, right? So if you take $1,000 loan and you took $1,000 and you buy some coins and you're getting 20% APR, that sounds pretty great. But if the coins go down by 50%, well, now you owe $1,000, you only have $500 worth of coins, and that 20% instead of earning on the $1,000 is now earning on $500. So the rate at which that loan can be repaid greatly diminishes into a point where you might not even be profitable for a long time. And that is a long position technically. So you're borrowing stables, buying an asset. So if the assets went up in price, you take $1,000 loan, swap 1,000 USDL into a coin at 2x's. Now you have $2,000 worth of coins and $1,000 loan, and the 20% is being earned on 2,000 instead of 1,000. So you're paying off that loan even faster.
Wow. Like every time we talk about the platforms and the different stuff that's just taking in money, people putting money there to get yield in whichever way they do it. It's just my brain just goes to all these dollar signs of all the money that's just accumulating in the ecosystem. And that's just, naturally again, no financial advice or predictions or anything, but like if you just see all these products being built that are heavily incentivizing people to put their money in to just keep building up the equity in the ecosystem. I'm gonna DeFi Llama real quick, just to show, and this is again, barely any products have even launched. And PulseChain 152 mil, PulseX, PHUX, SparkSwap, Fame is now on the list. This wasn't even on the list like 3 days ago. I remember looking at this, and it was I think Daytona or something was there. Fame is now here with 1.85 mil according to DeFi Llama. It's incredible.
Yep, absolutely. Check how the TVL relates to other cross-chain stuff. If you go to, I think it's overview, right?
Is it overview?
Are you specifically on PulseChain right now?
Oh yeah, I'm specifically on PulseChain.
Okay.
Do they have protocol rankings?
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so a lot of the other ones are in the billions, not in the 100 million. So in terms of TVL, so we still have a lot of work to do in terms of getting up there. But on the bright side, that is room to grow. So yeah, PulseX has the 54th largest TVL of all of DeFi right now, which I'd say is not that bad for being 4 months old.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, comparing the price. Well, I think 2 points. Yeah, first of all, PulseX is way up there compared to being very, very young. And the other point is all the other products that aren't up there yet, you could say they have room to grow. Yeah. So,
and part of the TVL is being that price is so far down. So if price just 3x's, the TVL automatically 3x's because the price did.
Yeah.
So it's partly this is like a similar to a market cap metric.
What's 117 times 10,000?
Couple B's, baby. Couple
B's, couple T's. I think couple T's.
T.
Yeah, maybe a couple T's on there. If Pulse checks 10,000 next to the TVL.
Yeah.
SJ bullish. I like it. Yeah. So I'll ask you this too. What do you think in the next few months? What do you think will break the top 10 in here as far as ecosystem stuff coming out? You think it's going to get the TVL going pretty quickly?
Yeah, I think. Wait, you're saying which one I think will do well?
Yeah, which one that's not on the list yet you think will break in the top 10 and start accumulating TVL that hasn't been launched yet?
On PulseChain? Liquid loans definitely will. Probably the Earn protocol, which is the same thing but for PLSX. 9mm, they're launching a V3 DEX. It's already on testnet right now. I imagine that's going to get some decent TVL because we don't have a V3 DEX yet. Freedom Swap, which is what Rags to Riches and Crypto Heartbeat, they are creating their own V3 DEX. I imagine that's going to do pretty well as well. Let me think what else. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now, and I feel bad about that. But if I'm forgetting somebody, I'm sorry.
You definitely are, but you shouldn't feel bad. That's okay. There's a lot of projects.
Yeah. So yeah, Freedom Swap, Liquid Loans, Power City stuff, the Earn protocol. I wonder if Tetra would be up there. No, I don't think it includes single-sided staking stuff. Well, maybe it might because it includes Fame. It includes Fame, which is the TVL is the PHLP token. So
how would it measure the TVL on Tetra?
How many the value of the coin staked?
But okay, so it's just the staking side. I was thinking like okay, so it would measure the volume. That'd be
It could measure volume. It could measure volume though. Not TVL maybe not as much, but it could measure like how much money is being moved daily by the scripts. That would be a really good metric.
Yes, that's what I would like to see. I think 9AMM along with there we go. They have signed up for, or did they? Yeah. Okay, they were playing this. Yeah. So just around everyone, second week of October. So after next week, the week after next. I got a few people coming on for full interviews for founders and stuff. And then Friday's demo day. And if anyone has products out there, 9AM is signed up. A few other ones, Pulse Wallet. Yeah, Pulse Wallet. I think KG is going to be there with Internet Money and Tiny Assets as well and everything. So I'm excited to see
KG in a couple weeks too.
Nice. I had one with him maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we went through security, wallets, of course, Internet Money and stuff too. So that was a pretty fun stream. Always like to see KG around, and I met him in Miami as well. Pretty cool to hang out with. I'm excited for demo day to see all the stuff that I explicitly do not pay attention to very often. I like to say, okay, well, demo day, you come on here, you show me, and then I get to see some of the cool stuff people are building. That's how you do it, man. You get people to do the research for you on the stream and to show you and then show everyone else. It's a win-win situation. Okay, this Ponzi is a win-win situation. You got to understand that, Sloth. Okay, this streaming Ponzi we got going right now.
I like it.
Last question before wrapping up here. Just one other thing I had on the tokenomics list too is other things that affect the coins. I think this is just important. This one has been just a minute or so on it. Founder famous founder, like for me, anything Alex does, anything Dipcatcher and them do, stuff like that, I'm automatically like, yeah, it's going to be legit. Maybe I'm in, maybe I'm just at least paying attention to it, whatever. LPing dollars for it, like how much capital can flood into it. We saw with PHUX and stuff, how that grew like crazy. It's got like 25 million or something, or it goes up and down, but depending on the coin prices and stuff too. But just how much money people are putting into, they're voting with their money, saying, hey, we like this ecosystem. We're going to put a lot of money into it. We see the TVL go up. How new it is, the shiny object type of stuff. Oh, Hex is old. It still works, but people are like, oh yeah, much more people, unfortunately, are not streaming about Hex as much as streaming about the new platforms like PHUX and all that, which are awesome. But it's just the shiny new thing that comes out, grabs people's attention. What things do you think affect, other than tokenomics? Something could have extremely solid tokenomics, but nobody puts money into it. It doesn't really go anywhere. Like, what else do you think kind of affects these type of ecosystems and protocols that are launching?
Yeah, I mean, obviously founders are a big one. If you have a vocal founder who's doing a lot of outbound marketing, they're going on streams, they're explaining things, they're interacting with the community, that really helps build a strong base. And it really helps, keep narrative strong, keep people confident, keep people coming around, versus if they don't hang out that much. And then, how big of a how big of a social media presence does it have? Like, are people posting memes? Are people doing streams? Are people doing Twitter spaces? Are people talking about the thing? All of this stuff is like social consensus, social networks. And so your social presence matters a lot on how well your token will or will not do over time, in the short term and in the long term. And so, like, how well does your utility and your narrative intrigue people, interest them, compel them to talk about it, and compel them to buy it eventually and hold it.
Yeah, so compelling narrative too, just around it. I think that's been pretty captivating for a lot of different coins. Yeah, I mean, just shout out to all the founders, Buck and boys. I would say Dylan especially. He's always on here talking about stuff, and Alex and everyone else too. Just building these products that bring money into a place that's building a lot of healthy products, a lot more healthy than other games you can play out there. That's keeping stuff in our beautiful new ecosystem that can't be gate kept, because we are the gates, right? Sloth, we are the gates.
More places to put out coins, the less likely people are going to put it in put it in the liquidity pool by selling it.
There you go. We need one day we'll have a lot of buys. One day we'll have more buys than sells. Is that how it works?
That's how it works, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I watched CryptoSloth a couple times. He told me that, I think. Great stream, man. Great stream. Not that we ever have a bad one, but let us know when we have a bad one, everyone. I say that having a history of having good streams with Sloth, but
always a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you working me in so quickly, because I really didn't have any time next week.
Yeah, I was like, Friday. You're like, next Friday? This Friday? I was like, yeah, you all don't know how much work it was to get him on this stream today. It was very hard. But
guys, you have no idea how many DMs I have for Max. Hey, will you please give me some content? I don't have anything to talk about.
We have the most confusing DMs too.
Now that GIF is MIA and he's busy learning how to be a developer.
I gotta lean on somebody. Axis has been stepping up. Who else gives me free content? Who else? Dipcatcher, he's been on the show like 10 times. Yes. Appreciate everyone actually making my show a success by coming on here and saying smart things that I couldn't otherwise say, or I'd have a hard time doing. That's what Sloth's trying to say right now. That's what he's trying to say. Thank you for that.
Not trying. I am. I'm just kidding. You're
explicitly talking.
Oh my god!
Thank you, Armando. Appreciate it. Yeah, what do you want to take us out on, man? What's we out of here? Axis.
What's up, Axis?
Never make Axis mad, otherwise he'll never come on Sloth Show again and create great content as well. There you go.
If you piss Axis off, he'll just post bearish charts of your coin and fudge you all day.
He's like, how can I take up the worst narrative possible next time we do TA on this coin?
He'll just
I totally forgot. Ben Dubard. He creates most of the content these days as well. You are one of the few people. Thank you, Ben Dubard.
Yes. Ben's a G, man. I like that kid. I like that guy. He's fun, and he's puts on a good course too with Rainy Hilarski.
I had them on literally like 2 days ago, I want to say, or 3 days ago. I had them on a few days ago. They had talked about the course as well. Yes. Everybody out there, just getting business done. Sloth, what are you gonna take us out on, man? What's good?
I don't know, man. What's good? Shit. Buy coins, stake them. If you can earn some yield, that's pretty cool. We want to learn how. I might be able to help you. I might not. Watch my channel. Find out. There we go.
Wow, that was the infomercial.
Yeah,
Clip that.
insightful.
That's
and a real insightful,
very,
real big brain stuff right there.
that was very compelling. I almost want to go to your website now myself. Almost.
Not quite. I haven't seen a rhmax@gmail.com yet. I don't on the email list.
Not yet. If you do see it, it'll probably be a spoofed email or something, because I get my information from DMs. I like to make them as confusing as possible. And
yeah,
basically I just ask Sloth questions and he answers sometimes, and then we stream sometimes.
Why would you sign up? You have direct access to me in DMs.
That's true. Well, I'll make you jealous right now. I'm signed up for Axis's newsletter, but I'm not yet signed up for Sloth's newsletter. Boom! Pow! I kind of want to sign up for Sloth's newsletter now, because actually your video on passive income was compelling. I was like, I should sign up. Sloth's got a newsletter. I should sign up. It won't be a bad thing to sign up for it, because he'll probably put some interesting stuff in there. So there you go.
Hey, I can put a coherent thought together every once in a while.
You did a few today, so congratulations.
But I appreciate you having me on, Max. Always a pleasure to come on and hang out with you. Yeah, we got some good banter. We got some good back and forth, Max. Timeless.
We had most of it in the green room, but that was about like dental studies and water picks and dental studies.
I learned that in 10 years I'm going to make a lot of money off giving you some dental work.
You and Fast Abdul and everyone else part of the Sloth dental program and crypto mindset.
Yep.
Shop, e-shop, e-commerce.
Me and my family forever by me fixing their teeth.
That's we need all those people. We're actually creating Hexco. We need one of every person. So
you need at least one dentist, right? You need at least one.
We need one. I'll be the VPN guy. You'll be the dentist, and we'll make it work, man.
Dude, you got some good VPN knowledge. I would pay for that kind of knowledge. You're generous to give it up for free.
If I monetized, I will give you my link right now. That's how much I love VPNs. I would do it. I'd do that for you.
Oh, thank you, bud. You're too kind.
You got to protect yourself online. Everyone, that's all we got for you. We gave you a little bit of banter at the end. I'm glad you liked that. GIF, if you're watching, I know you are. I know you enjoyed it as well. And that's all we got. Scivive and 5555. We are out.